Playing the wrong tune in the wrong key. Gig nightmares for you and me. Song changed keys and I wasn't ready. Gig nightmares for you and me. Another key change, oh God, oh no. Gig nightmares for you and me. Hey Jay, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfectly. How you doing today, my friend?
Oh, staying busy, sweating a lot. It's a warm one today.
Yeah, I
How
know,
about
even up
yourself?
here in Connecticut. I'm doing all right, man, doing all right. You know me, just moving and shaking and money making.
Love to hear it. So, we've been friends on Facebook for a little while, but we have yet to actually meet in person. So, I see you get referred to as the Scenefather in like the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut scene. How would you describe yourself as, being involved in the scene, everything you do with music? How would you describe yourself? What's your story?
So my story is I wasn't really into local music. I always listened to like the big bands like Maiden and Metallica, Killswitch Engage. And quite honestly, I was turned on to the local New York, New Jersey scene by Monument of a Memory. I happened to be working out at the gym, and in between sets, I would occasionally check Facebook. And you're talking about, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I'm at the gym, and in between sets, I get a suggestion like, "Oh, you like heavy metal music? You might like this band." So I'm reading it, the description, "Monument of a Memory" from Paramus, New Jersey, and I'm like, "Oh, Christ, that was in my backyard." I used to live in Bergenfield, New Jersey, and I'm like, "Well, how did I never hear of these guys?" So I turned on the video, and it was for Hold Fast, and I'm listening to it with my jaw on the ground at Planet Fitness, and I'm like, "How the fuck did I not know about this band?" Blown away by how great the song was. The chorus was amazing. The music was phenomenal. It was heavy. It had a catchy chorus to it. I'm like, I have to learn more about these guys. So I started delving into their history and actually got to meet them like literally a month or two later. They played a show in Bergenfield at the VFW. And then they started introducing me to friends of theirs that were in other bands. And I started listening to some of those other bands, and then wound up working on the set for the Comatose video that Monument did. And I was actually one of the first people outside of friends and family of Monument to actually know Will had been the new singer at the time. And
Yeah.
then from there, working with videographer Eric DiCarlo, he wound up casting me as an extra in an Across the White Water Tower video. And then they started introducing me to some of the other bands. So I wound up meeting band after band through all these bands that I was meeting, making friends, shaking hands, buying people beers when we would see them live, having them over to the house here in Connecticut now that we're up here. And it's just every time I meet another band, they turn me on to another band. And I like to promote those bands on Facebook. So I'm kind of like an unpaid publicist because anytime any of them drops a video or puts out an album or a new song, I'm always going, "Hey, listen, Scenefather recommends you check this out." I give it my stamp of approval. And even though in the real scheme of things, it really doesn't mean anything because I'm not an actual promoter, people that are friends of mine on Facebook who are not familiar with all the bands in the scene, they'll go, "Okay, I'll listen to that." And then I hear either through phone calls or people I work with or friends of mine who live across the country, "Hey, that video that you showed from Ocean of Illusions, those dudes are brutal. I'm going to start listening to their catalog." So I work to try to return some of the kindness that the local scene has shown to me by not worrying about having an AARP age fan at all their shows and realizing that it's not creepy that an old man is following around these bands. I'm just trying to spread the word about them to get the music out there so that people know, listen, Iron Maiden is great, Killswitch Engage is great, Slayer is awesome, Slipknot is good, but listen to what you're missing. Listen to the new generation of heavy metal music and, metalcore and deathcore, because you may be surprised with some of the stuff that you hear. And that's exactly what I've been hearing from a lot of the people who were not familiar with these bands. Are like, "Wow, these dudes are great," or "Wow, I saw you in that video," or, oh, I love the live video that you took. It looks like it was an exciting time. So it was actually Evan Fortnite who coined the phrase Scenefather. And he did that because, number one, I'm usually the oldest one at concerts and stuff like that. Plus the fact that I'm an Italian, so it's a takeoff on The Godfather. But yeah, he's like, oh, look, it's the Scenefather. And I was like, I really like that nickname. So it stuck. And so that's where it leads us to today. That's kind of my a brief and broken history of how I became to be known that way and work with all these bands.
That's awesome. So I understand you have a few stories prepared from just, different shows you've seen, with Monument of a Memory. So I'm curious to hear some of the stories you have.
Well, I will tell you that working with Monument of a Memory, whether it be helping them at a show, having them over to your house, or dealing with transportation issues for them is a monumental headache. And
good one.
And they understand that. So actually the one real story that I have, not so much about a tour, but about their tour vehicle and how I assisted them in getting it and just the headache after headache that we had. So basically they were in shopping for a new, not new, brand new, but new to them tour van, because the old Chevy one that they had was, literally on its last leg. It was in pretty bad shape. They were bringing it up here to Connecticut to my mechanic to have it fixed, almost every other month. Oh, this needs to be replaced. That needs to be replaced. So Josh Correa from Monument, he was like, listen, I know that your father-in-law gets, buys and sells cars all the time. If he gets any kind of like a conversion van, let me know. So a couple of weeks later, I was hanging out down at his shop because, it's a mechanic shop, but basically we would go down there to drink beer and shoot the shit, tell filthy jokes and stuff like that. So one of my father-in-law's friends comes in with this beautiful Dodge conversion van. And I looked at it and I said to Ray, it's my father-in-law, I said, Ray, is this for repair or for sale? He goes, oh, my friend Ronnie is selling it. So I immediately started taking pictures of the inside and outside of this thing. It's got the ladder bar that goes up to the roof in case you have to store stuff. It has an electric fold-down bed in the back of the van. Everything is, it's all plush. It's like almost like shag carpeted, a nice, beautiful light blue. All the seats are velour, so they're really comfortable. There's a captain's chair in the driver's seat. This thing is mint. It had satellite radio, a CD player. It had a built-in TV. It had dual controls for the stereo system in the front and back. I mean, this thing was just set up. So I took pictures and I sent them to Josh, and he literally just replied back, that it was getting him excited in the trousers, if you know what I mean. So I said, okay. I said, are you interested? He goes, listen, I got to talk to the rest of the guys. 20 minutes later, he goes, what's the price? So I told him the price. He said, Jesus Christ, can you give him that money to hold on to the van? So I said, not a problem. Turn around to Ray. I said, listen, I'm going to go to the bank. We're going to buy that van for the band. Okay, no problem. So I go get the money. We make the deal. So I bring the van over to my house. It's not registered yet, but the dude who owned it was nice enough to loan us the license plates just so I could get it over to my condo and park it. Monument boys are like, listen, we don't have the money for it yet, but we're going to get it. And I said, that's fine. I will just store it over here. I have an extra spot just for me. We'll hold on to it until you get the money for it. No problem. All good. So every once in a while, I'd go outside, start it up, make sure it was good, turn it off, make sure that, squirrels weren't starting to make their home in it and anything like that.
Yeah.
So I would say this stayed at my place probably about 4 months because, again, they're on Monument time. So finally, they're talking about doing a video for the song Panic and Persuasion from the new album. And Josh is going, it would be really cool is because we've got this big street fight planned and it's going to be filmed where Eric DiCarlo used to film a lot of his videos at this abandoned warehouse in Totowa, New Jersey. Real classy area. And so So he turns around, he goes, yeah, it would be cool if we could drive this van in for the street fight. And I'm like, well, when is it planned for? He gave me a date. I said, no problem. Just listen. You just have to make sure you have the money and this and that. Not that I was holding it from them. I mean, worst comes to worst, I would have let them use the van, but still said, hey, Scenefather's got to get paid,
Sure.
Because I am Italian, of course, cash up front. So, so the date is getting closer and closer. And they're like, all right, can you get the paperwork from Ray so we can get this started? No problem. So we get the previous owner to sign the slip over. They come up to Connecticut, have a little dinner at my place, and go, okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to go to motor vehicle. They go to motor vehicle. Motor vehicle tells them, oh no, since this is out of state, it has to be notarized. And they're like, why? And they're like, well, because it's an out of state vehicle that you're bringing into New Jersey to register. All right. So now they're like, we have to come back up. So a couple of days later, they come back up. Now, this is literally the day before the video is going to be filmed. They decided, they like to really stretch this shit out. I'm allowed to curse, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm just making sure because it's part of my normal vernacular. So literally the day before they have to film the video, they come up to Connecticut. They have the paperwork in hand that's got to be notarized. Thankfully, my fiance Noelle has a friend who's a notary, so we got that all set up. So Ray winds up calling the gentleman who sold us the van. Now, it turns out the gentleman that sold it to us is not the owner. His son is the owner, who is currently in Wisconsin. So I'm like, listen, we have to get you to sign in front of the notary. And so the old man is like, all right, well, where is it? I said, it's in West Hartford. He goes, well, I can't go today. I'm like, they kind of need this today. Well, he loses his mind. You fucking kidding me? I'm not going all the way to West Hartford. It's about a half-hour ride from where we are. I'm not going to West Hartford. This is bullshit. Why do these guys wait till the last moment? Blah, blah, blah. So I called my Noelle's friend, who's the notary, and I said, listen, here's the deal. How do we accomplish this? She says, well, what I can offer you is that if you can get a copy of the license from the gentleman who is actually selling it, and then send me that picture of his license, you can text it to me. He says, and I'll just get on the phone with the guy and make sure that we're okay to notarize this thing, but the boys have to be here to get it done. I'm like, okay. So now I'm calling them. I'm like, where the fuck are you guys? You guys have to get here if you want to get this done. Like, you need to be here now. All right, we're like 20 minutes away. Now I'm pulling whatever hair I have left on my head off, like, because after this gets done, they still have to jackass back down to New Jersey to the motor vehicle before they close. So they finally arrive. I immediately just stuff them right in my car. Fuck it. No time for niceties. Let's go. We got to go. So I'm on the phone with the gentleman who actually owned it, who's in Wisconsin. He's like, yeah, I don't mind doing that. Just give me a call when you get there. I said, okay, but you have to text me your driver's license. So he does. Thank God. So now I give that text to Josh, and I believe it was Erin that came up with him. So now we're all blowing up 84 to get to West Hartford. I mean, we are just screaming up the highway, taking turns sideways, doing everything we can to get to Noelle's friend's office. So we bust in there, and we're already amped up. So trying to keep our voices down when we walked in, like, we're here to see so-and-so. All right, I'll go get her. And so she comes out. We show her the picture of the driver's license. We get the guy on the phone. He's like, yep, I don't mind. Go ahead, sign off on it. Good riddance to the van, blah, blah, blah. So we get that done. We drive back. Josh and Erin get in their car. Now they jackass 2 hours back to New Jersey, screaming at probably about 120 miles an hour to try to make it to motor vehicles. They did have an appointment, but they were told, listen, you got to be here by 4:45 because we close at 5. Well, they wind up calling me later. Thank God traffic was with them. They wind up getting there at like 4:48. The guard is standing at the door, and Josh must have just given him this look. The guy's like, I'll do it this time. So they let him in. They take all the fucking paperwork, they slap down whatever money they got to do, and by the luck of God, they were able to get the damn thing finally registered. So when you watch the Panic and Persuasion video on YouTube from Monument of a Memory, and you see that van pull up, just know that I was on the set that day just looking at these guys like, I swear to Christ, if you ever wait till the last minute for something big like that again, there's going to be some fucking issues, because it's heartburn. It's heartburn working with them. I love them all to death, but whenever I think about, and Noelle will tell you, she's actually sitting right here with me right now. Noelle will tell you that whenever we see the Panic and Persuasion video, or I show it to a friend, someone who's never seen it, the first thing I say is, you have no fucking clue what we had to go to get that goddamn van on the set. And she just rolls her eyes. She's like, yep. And I still get the heartburn feeling whenever I think about it. But it's a lovely sentiment, because the video came out so very good. And it was cool for me to actually be on the set of the video during the fight scenes, because I was actually, and very few people know this, but there's one shot where I'm actually in the van but crouched down behind the steering wheel, and you could just almost barely see a little wisp of my stupid looking hair. But if you don't look...
Oh, I'm going to have to look for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look for that.
It's a little difficult to see, but, and there's another scene in that video, which, your friends will get a kick out of this, I'm sure. There's where they go wide out, where there's the fight scene, and there's a semi truck in the back of the parking lot. I happened to be taking a whiz behind that truck while they were filming that part. So I made very sure to not walk out until I heard cut.
That's awesome.
So that's my big story. The only other, okay, I will give you another one. All right. So when COVID broke, one of the first concerts I went to was for the now defunct Charred Graves. They were playing out in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So this is my first post-COVID show. Had my daughter with me, Josh from Monument, and his girlfriend Jocelyn went with us, as did Richie Brega. He was at the show too. I mean, there was other people in the cast of characters, but I focus on these folks because we wind up sharing a hotel room together. So we get out there separately. We all go separately, except my daughter comes with me, of course. So we go to the show. It was just so good to finally have a concert after being shut down for almost 2 years. So the beer was flowing. We had our fists in the air. We were shouting out loud to all the bands that played that night, which were all phenomenal. We originally had it set up that we have a hotel that we booked. Noelle was kind enough to book it. She's kind of like my tour manager when it comes to that stuff. So we did book 2 rooms, knowing it was going to be myself and my daughter, and then we were expecting Josh and Jocelyn. So she books 2 rooms. When we go to check in, of course, oh no, we only have 1 room. And I'm like, we booked 2. I actually got Noelle on the phone, and she's like, yeah, I booked 2 rooms. And she's like, oh, sorry. Then that was it. So, of course, I was a little hot under the collar, but I held my tongue because I didn't want that to go down to no hotel rooms for the night. Allentown's a big drive.
Yeah.
So I wind up breaking the bad news to everyone, and they're like, well, that's all right. We'll crash in your room. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, we do the show. Get back to the hotel. Of course, we've all had a few. So we make it back to the hotel by the grace of God. And kids, not that I condone driving after you've had a few. But anyway, for this story, so we all pile into the room. Being the old man that I am, I always bring some sort of food or snacks with us. So here we are sitting in the room, and we're all sitting there eating chicken nuggets, and we're drinking bottles of water, and some of us have soda and stuff like that. So, we're just enjoying our time in the room. Probably around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, we decide, all right, listen, if we want any chance of getting back home tomorrow, we have to go to sleep. So we turn the lights out. My daughter and myself are on the bed. Josh and Jocelyn take the floor in front of the air conditioner, and Richie Brega decides to try to sleep in one of the chairs. Well, that wasn't working out for him. I'm half asleep. My daughter's half asleep. All of a sudden, we feel something at the end of the bed. Look down. There's Richie laying across our feet. So I'm like, all right, this is fine. Let's let's just reposition ourselves so he's not actually on our feet. No big deal, whatever. What the hell? This is going to make a great story one day. So it's about 4:00 in the morning. The fire alarm in the hotel goes off. We're all so tired. We're like, fuck it. I'm just laying here until I burn to a crisp. I don't even care. I'm not getting up. Well, the fire alarm is going for like half an hour. And Richie is like, this is bullshit. I can't take it. I got to go see what the fuck is going on. So he leaves the room. So, of course, immediately we take the chair he was supposed to be sleeping in. We push it right up against the door so that he can't get in. So anyway, he's downstairs for like 20, 25 minutes. He uses the key to get in the room, which he can't, of course. So now there's a whole torrent of expletives coming from him through the crack in the door. And we're like, So we move the chair. And I said, so what the fuck is going on? He goes, I don't know. I went down to the desk. The fire alarm was going off. The people in the hotel said they didn't find any evidence of smoke or fire. And the fire chief was downstairs, and he said he think it might have been a bad connection or something. We don't know, but there's no fire, there's no smoke. And Richie is telling us, he says, I'm yelling at the people at the hotel and the fire chief. Well, why the fuck didn't you alert the people and call the rooms and let them know? Because we don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm like, Richie, just calm down. Calm down and get some sleep. So, of course, he was amped and pacing back and forth across the room for another hour or so before he finally passed out. So after all that, I decided I really should take everyone out for breakfast. It's been a really rough night. So the next almost afternoon, we all get up, head to Waffle House, and eat ourselves silly and drive back home. So there was that. That's a fun one to remember. It sucked in the moment, but it was fun it's fun to reminisce about it. Last one I got, it's kind of an oddball story. So again, our friend's Monument of a Memory got to open up for the Black Dahlia murder in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is when Will.
What venue was it?
State Capitol Theater, I think it was called. So Monument was not right below Black Dahlia, but they were like 2 below. And there was a couple bands before Monument. So we're all there hanging out. The first couple of bands play. You get a couple of guys that are, kind of semi-moshing, moving around a little bit, showing off a couple of moves. No one's really paid attention to the first couple of bands. Some people are up front watching them with their hands in their pockets and stuff, shoegazing as well on the floor. So those bands go. Now, Monument, it's their time to set up. So they were supposed to get, I think, 6 songs that night. So what happened is they wound up taking literally 5 minutes longer to set their stage up. And then the venue allowed them. So the promoter came over and told them in no uncertain terms, you fucked around long enough. You're now down to 3 songs. And they're like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, listen, just calm down. Because Josh wanted to go have a word with the promoter. And I said, no, that's the worst thing you could do right now. Because if he took you from 6 songs to 3 songs for 5 extra minutes, what's he going to do if you start, relaying a torrent of F-bombs at him? What do you think is going to happen then? I said, my thought is just go out there, play your 3 best songs, play your fucking balls off, charm the hell out of the crowd, and I think you're going to win them over. So when they finally get everything ready, the lights go down, the theme music for Cold Eyes comes on, and they have strobe lights. So now this is really drawing people in. So for the first time all night from all the bands, you've got people that are lined up straight right across the barrier, no room to get to the barrier anymore because everyone is up front like, oh, man, this sounds like it's going to be good. So they kick into the song, and all of a sudden I'm seeing behind me probably about 20 or 30 bodies moving in the circle. There's people in the front that are filming the show with one hand and the other fist is pumping in the air. People are headbanging. There was a dude that was right next to me filming the whole thing. And he had to be about 10, 15 years older than me. He goes, man, who the hell are these guys? I'm like, these are my dudes, Monument of Memory from New Jersey. He goes, these guys are fucking awesome. Are they on YouTube? Yes. So we made a fan. So while they're playing, I'm noticing more and more people coming up front for the first two songs. I turned to look over at the merch table. Now, normally the girlfriends or the guys are sitting there running the merch table, and they get one or two people here and there. So there were three people running the merch table, and they were so swamped with people going over to buy their stuff. Hand to God, Noelle, actually, my girlfriend Noelle, actually had to help out and sell stuff, and they couldn't get rid of it fast enough. People that were wearing head to toe Black Dahlia Murder shirt, pants, hat, tattoos, vests. I mean, they're just picking up 3 shirts, 4 shot glasses. Give me a CD. I'll take 10 of the stickers. When they were done, Monument probably had sold more than half of the merch that they brought to the show. And they're just shaking their heads like, what the fuck just happened? I said, what just happened is the fact that you guys went out there. You had a different sound. You had a different stage presence. You interacted with the fans. And I said, you impressed people is what happened. You made new fans tonight. So it was cool seeing that they had a 6-song show planned and they were thinking the worst, but 3 songs, and all of a sudden their shit couldn't even stay on the table. They just sold and sold and sold. And people were coming up to them after the show wanting to take pictures with them, wanting to get their autograph. And it was just one of the coolest things to see. You know, you have your set cut in half because some promoter is worried about 5 minutes, but it turns out to be one of the best things for you because they really put, not that they don't always put an effort into it, but I think they put their anger behind that show. Like, fuck, he's only given us 3 fucking songs. Well, they put their heart and anger into it, and they really made some new fans that night. It was really cool to see.
Absolutely. And, you know, being a performer myself, I absolutely believe that. You know, I don't prefer to play, you know, right before, like right after something annoying happens. But when it does happen, sometimes it like amplifies the performance because sometimes it simply can be just like a big fuck you to whatever's happening, whether it's a promoter or like, you know, bad sound check or whatever else, whatever happens in life. Sometimes, you know, that live performance is like what allows you to like get that out, and then you getting that out is what makes the performance more lively, more electric, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Music is cathartic. And I always tell people music is the voice of the soul. And it's actually the key to the soul as well. And I will tell you this. One of the ways I've seen this evidence is I work on the weekend as a receptionist in an Alzheimer's residence. I've had several people in my life affected by it. So it's not just a job to me. It's kind of like I'm doing this in their memory, like helping families who have people in their family who have dementia or Alzheimer's, and using my experience. Like my father had it for a very short time before he passed. Noelle's mother had it for 4 or 5 years, and it was a big learning experience. So with Alzheimer's and dementia, there are times where people are what we call non-responsive. They won't or can't talk. Sometimes they don't seem like they're there at all. They just sit in their chair and they'll stare out or they'll sleep all day. And we have performers that come in, like acoustic performers or piano players will come in every Saturday and Sunday, and they'll go into each one of we call them neighborhoods, not wings, because it's a residence. So we'll have the musician go to each of the neighborhoods and play for all the residents and their family members that are there. I can't tell you how many times I hear people like, you know, my husband, he doesn't react to anything I say. He doesn't speak. He barely opens his eyes. But when that musician plays that guitar and plays that song, my husband's head will perk up. He'll start mouthing the words. He'll start clapping along. And I hear this from other family members as well, that, hey, you know, my mom, she just normally sits there all day. You can't get 2 words out of her. But the music starts, and all of a sudden, she's with us. She's moving around. She's smiling. So, in essence, that's kind of why I enjoy being part of the music scene and being accepted by the bands that accept me and are friendly with me and allow me to maybe once in a while sing a line from their song, make sure I'm in a picture when they're playing live, let me work on the set of the videos for them or be in the video one way or the other. Music speaks to the soul, and it always has for me. So that's why it's very meaningful for me that all these bands let this old guy hang out with them, because um, I can't I can't do anything but appreciate them for making the music that they make, because I know the struggle, I know the effort that goes into it, and I also know the fears of what if we put this out and no one likes it. So I appreciate all that, and they're them doing their thing, and guys like you who do your thing. You guys all you all get to my soul. You guys are in my soul, and I love that.
That's awesome, man. So when you were telling me like the story of the music video, it reminded me of a music video shoot I did something like 2 or 3 months ago. I haven't really had the chance to do like a whole lot of music video shoot sort of stuff since like I primarily have been in like cover bands, but I was playing with this. It was an original band. I was helping them out for a good couple months, filling in on guitar, filling in on bass. There's a Prodigy kid based out of, I guess, Central, maybe North Jersey, named Kobe Reese, and he has a bunch of, I believe he's 13 right now, and he has a bunch of like, similarly aged kids in the band right now. But they weren't able to find like a guitar player or a bass player for the longest time, so they said, hey, if you just like shave and like keep your face, clean shaven, can you just like help us out for a few shows? And I say, sure, why not? So we were doing that and it was fun. But then came around time to do like a few music video shoots because they were working on original music. So I said, sure, why not?
Oh
Obviously like
wow!
want to, yeah. So we did this one video shoot up on, I think Amityville on Long Island, and that was just like on a soundstage, high production sort of thing, and that was fun and all. But then the next music video came, and we were doing, it was a cover of Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. I'm not really crazy about the song one way or another, but I figured, okay, whatever. So we're told, okay, we're going to get these white suits and we're going to do choreographed dance moves. And it's like, huh? I don't know how to dance, but whatever. So we do that. So then the idea then is, okay, we're going to do this on the beach at 5 a.m. so we can get the sunrise. I'm like, 5 a.m.? I don't remember the last time Oh, man. So I've the night before I'm playing in what town was it? I think it was like Union, New Jersey. I was playing with the 80s band, and it's not far from where the guitar player lives. So I say, okay, can I stay over at your place, carpool? So it's like maybe 30 minutes from there. I think we shot that in Long Branch, I think. Yeah, I play my gig. I think we're done around 10, and I get over there, and it's okay, great, gonna get to sleep. But for whatever reason, I just can't get to sleep for the life of me. So I think it's probably maybe 2:30 or 3 o'clock. I finally fall asleep. I wake up an hour later. Oh, we have to get going. What? So we're driving and we get there. We end up getting to the wrong location, but eventually we get there and everyone's a little bit stressed because like, well, you can see the sun's about to come up. So we get in our positions, we start doing our dances and whatever. And it's funny because like if you look up the video, I look like a zombie. I look like I'm not even there. I'm just like swaying back and forth, and I can just see the pain on my face. I personally think it's a hilarious video, but
Oh
it's
man!
just like one of those things, like music videos or like any sort of things like that. You can look at photos, you can look at all these different things, and just like be transported instantly back to when that happened. Like you said, you were watching like the music video, and you can just remember just like I think you were saying heartburn.
Oh yes, heartburn, anger, angst, nauseous.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Whenever I look at videos that I've done too, I remember a lot of what was going on. Like when we filmed the video for the Across the White Water Tower, who rest in peace to that band. We filmed it in a video arcade out in Dover, New Jersey, and they weren't even open yet. But the guy was able to get enough classic antique arcade machines working for the video shoot. And I made sure, I'm like, wow, this is the first time I'm actually going to be in front of the camera, even as an extra. So I'm like, all right, trying to figure out where Eric DiCarlo is going to be filming. And I'm like, well, the drummer is in the back. So I'm guessing a lot of the stuff that's going to be kind of be the pivotal point, and then moving outward to see the rest of the guys in the band perform. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go play at the Mario Brothers, not even Super Mario Brothers. That's how old this machine was. It was just regular old Mario Brothers right behind Steven, the drummer. And sure enough, 5 or 6 times I see, from my ass to my head at the machine playing the game. So the funny thing is, during that shoot, because I was right behind the drummer, 9 times out of 10, while he's wailing away on the drums, he's whacking me accidentally in the ass with the drumstick, and he's always sort of looking over like, sorry. I'm like, shut up, keep going. It didn't bother me. I'm like, it's fine, no big deal. Another one that really brings good memories is for Monuments Seeking Somewhere. So the idea, I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but most of it takes place in front of like a star field that changes color, which on film looks fucking amazing. It's just, if I didn't work on the set, I would be like, how did they do that? This is amazing. Well, I'll tell you how they did it, and this is what you call painstaking. The idea was to build their own frame and then take something painted black and put it on that frame that was going to stand about 7 feet tall, and I don't know how wide this thing was, but it sort of came to sort of like a triangle in the middle. And we get there on set, and what they show up with is wood planks, a whole bunch of screws and electric drills and stuff like that. And they've got about 7 or 8 giant boards of fiberglass insulation that you would use in the home. And what they did is they took the paper part of it that's supposed to face outside when you put it down, when you're insulating your walls, and they've just painted it black. So I'm like, okay, so how do we get this thing lit up? That's when they bring out about 500 pounds of fiber optic. Like, did you ever see those fiber optic lamps where they have like the little plastic things hanging down and the tips of it glow?
I believe so.
Yeah. So basically what we did for 6 hours, me, Noel, and about 20 other people who were working on the set, including Will Ramos. I keep throwing that name in. I apologize. I'm a little bit of a name dropper. But we're all sitting there using those plastic toothpicks that they sell, punching a hole in the insulation, and then after you punch that hole, running one piece of fiber optic strand out, then going down, punching another hole, pulling another single strand of fiber optic cable through for 6 fucking hours. And I told them, if this doesn't look good, your asses are all dead. So we finally get that all set up. Now the boys have to get into their costumes, which is the first time we're ever going to see them in those red and black costumes. So they have to make sure everything's perfect. The dudes are all putting on guy liner and they're putting on pancake makeup and all that stuff. While they're getting ready, we're all in the back drinking our faces off. We had like 4 or 5 coolers there. And there's a girl that's in the video who we no longer associate with, but you didn't hear that from me. We actually, even before they started filming, she was nearly trashed. We actually had to sit on the coolers and tell her, nope, we're all out of drinks. Sorry.
Fun.
Drink soda. But finally, we were able to start getting it filming, and once it was done, it became the blockbuster that it became. It was kind of like one of their biggest singles at the time. So even though we put in, and again, it was in that abandoned warehouse that Eric DiCarlo used to use, and it was like almost summertime, so it was like 100 degrees in there. Plus, you got all the lights that he's using, and then all the guys are dressed up in these fine suits and all the makeup on, and it was just hot as hell. We're all sweating our balls off. But in the end, again, whenever I watch that video, I'm proud to point at the screen and go, I worked on the set of this video. And then I turn around with another look on my face, 6 fucking hours to build that goddamn set. And I leave it at that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's, and I'm very grateful to the fact that the bands, number one, don't mind me being on the set, and number two, they allow me to assist. And again, once in a while, I show up in a video. Like this is the last one I'll talk about because I know you've probably got a lot of other things to do, and I greatly appreciate your time. So, Josh from Monument, his brother Johnny, is the singer and guitarist for a band called Shudder out of New Jersey. So,
All right.
yeah, we love them. They're kind of like Nirvana mixed with the Foo Fighters, which can almost be one and the same in a way.
Yeah.
But so anyway, Johnny messaged me one day out of the blue. I knew that they had a new album in the works. So he messages me, he says, "Hey, I got to ask you a question." I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." He says, "Would you and Noel want to be in a music video for Shudder?" And I wrote back, "Does the Pope shit in the woods? Of course I would. Of course we will." I said, what's the theme and what's the dress code? Because I've worked with Eric before, so I'm like, I know Eric DiCarlo has a way. He says, well, the theme is it's going to be a coming of age birthday party for me, but you, as my parents, are mad at me for something I did. I said, okay, I'm down with this. I'm Italian. I have pent-up rage. What's the dress code? He goes, think Caucasian celebration. And I'm like, oh, I so got this. So he gave us the date and time. We were filming it indoors at the home of his guitarist. So we show up. It's Paramus, New Jersey at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Quietest town you'll ever see. It's almost like a cemetery. So we go in the house. Noel and I get there. They're all happy to see us. So we wind up getting changed in the bathroom. Noel had a really good-looking outfit. Me, because he said Caucasian celebration, I'm wearing cross-trainer shoes. I've got a pair of slacks pulled up to my nipples with the belt buckle showing. I have a pink polo shirt, and I slicked my hair back rather than go with the fin that I normally have, and I was wearing Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Oh, okay.
So basically, what they wanted Noel and I to do was to spend most of the non-performance shots yelling at him, pointing at him, shaking our fists. And then at some point, all the band comes into the house while we're giving him his birthday cake. And then all of his friends stop pouring in. So we've got like 40 or 50 people in the house. And Noel and I are just treating this poor guy like shit. And it's funny because I asked Eric DiCarlo, I says, listen, are we allowed to actually yell or do we just mouth the words? He says, no, you can yell, because I'm going to overdub the music. And I said, okay. Now, that being said, how bad am I allowed to get? He goes, I don't give a shit, just yell. So, of course, I was yelling shit at you. And because I have a sense of humor, I always try to crack everyone up. So Noel and I would be sitting there yelling real things at him, like, you need to get yourself a fucking job. We're not going to support you. This is bullshit. You spend all day doing drugs and playing that stupid guitar. And then when Eric would start filming, and I'd be like, and I'm sick of you playing Red Rocket with the dog on the couch. It's getting all fucking sticky. I would yell out horrible shit like that. But, then we'd film another go at it. And, of course, we're yelling the normal stuff. Stop. You need to stop hanging out with those kids. You need to study harder. You need to find some work. The camera goes off. And I can't get an erection anymore because of my diabetes, you little shit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been a really fun run. I hope you enjoy the stories I told you.
Oh, absolutely. And also just like hearing how, them accepting you into the community, but also you helping to like foster more of the community. Like I don't know, growing up, I would always like do my homework on like all like the hard rock and heavy metal history, and just like hearing like the things that you're describing, it's almost like kind of hearing like how Johnny Zazula and his wife would like help like foster like the New Jersey metal scene in the early 80s with Metallica and Megaforce records and all that. It's awesome to hear.
Well, I appreciate that. One of the reasons, another reason I love the scene, and this harkens back to when I was in bands in high school. So you're talking about late 80s, early 90s. I'm a dinosaur, for God's sakes. So back then, we didn't have the camaraderie like the modern scene has now. The modern scene here, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Vermont, all the places that the bands are from that I am associated with and am absolutely flattered that they allow me to be associated with them. They're always bringing everyone up. They go by the thought, a rising tide lifts all ships. And I was very taken in by that, how there's love between the bands, there's support between the bands. When I was growing up in Orange County, New York, near Newburgh, where I went to school, we all had our own little bands, but we were all isolated except for the people that would come watch us. Other bands didn't want to hear about how good Wasted Angel did. No one cared about how good my band Crimson Tears sounded. No one cared about how many people Talk Is Cheap brought in to the high school during the Battle of the Bands. No one gave a shit about anyone else's band. In fact, to the point where we really got a slap in the face, where one of the better bands in the area at the time, Talk Is Cheap, their singer was amazing. He was a younger Ronnie James Dio. This guy could hit notes like you wouldn't believe. The guitarist, you would have thought he was trained by Joe Satriani himself. He was a badass guitarist. And then the drummer and the bass player were phenomenal too. So we had them over to our practice pad. Now, my guitarist at the time, Larry, he was a devotee of Randy Rhoads. So he had the blonde Les Paul. He had the Marshall stacks made up to look exactly like Randy's used to be. And he played like him. And I want to say he was just as good as him without besmirching Randy's legend, So all due respect to Randy, but Larry was really goddamn good. He was a great player. Our bass player, like me, was an Iron Maiden devotee. And the drummer was Larry's younger brother, who was very good at what he did for his age. I think he was like 16, 17 at the time. So we weren't a fully polished diamond, but we were no slouches, And I was the singer, by the way, which I don't know if it added or detracted from them, but I digress. So we decide to have Talk Is Cheap come over and just watch us and maybe critique us. Well, these fucking guys, the singer immediately grabs the microphone out of my hand, starts singing to what my band is playing, and I'm like, the fuck are you doing? So then the guitar player for Talk Is Cheap plugs his own amp in. Now he's standing next to my guy, Larry. We were doing a cover of Crazy Train. And Larry loved playing that song because it's an iconic solo, all the finger tapping and the hammer-ons and all, and the neck bend. So the other guitarist is standing behind him playing the same thing, making faces at him. And I'm immediately like shutting this thing down, like, no, we're not fucking doing this. You guys got to go. No, well, no. This is bullshit. It was just that level of, we're better than you and we're going to make fun of you. Yeah, so it was just, and I always hated that back then, like, why don't the bands support each other? But I see that in the modern scene now, and that really touches my heart, that everyone supports everyone else. I absolutely love that. I think there needs to be more of that. So that's another one of the reasons why when I hear a good band, like I hear Monument, I hear Ocean of Illusions, Viridian, Float Omen, any of these guys, any of the bands that I've started listening to from the scene, Second Nature, Black Lotus, I make sure all the people that have me on social media know, hey man, this is what I'm listening to. I love it because of this. And check out this new video. This is amazing. If you've not heard this band, you need to hear them. And I'm going to this show, and if you want to show up while I'm at this show, I'll buy you a beer. I support these guys because they support each other. And if there's a scene, if there's bands that are willing to support other bands and show love to other bands, how can I not get the word out about that? Everyone treats everyone so well in the scene. And it just, again, it touches my heart because we didn't have that in the 80s and 90s. It was all fend for yourself, fuck you. Whereas these days it's like, hey, can I guest on that song? hey, you need any help with load in, load out? Dude, I love your new single. The album cover looks great. Hey, listen, we lost the band on our set. Why don't you guys step in if you can do it last minute? I love that. It's just everyone helps everyone.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I want to, thank you for taking the time to chat with me, tell me some stories. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. And before I sign off, Scenefather loves you all.
Much appreciated.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, my friend.
Yep, I'll have to catch you at a show one of these days.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you can ever make it to Connecticut, I live in Bristol. We're like 10 minutes from ESPN. You're welcome up at the condo. You're welcome at the condo anytime. And I tell you what, if you ever book anything in Connecticut in my area, you and your band are welcome to stay.
All right, much appreciated. Thank you so much.
You got it, my friend. Listen, you take care and rock on, and thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Of course, thank you. I'll talk to you sometime soon.
You got it. Take care, man.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Gig Nightmares. Gig Nightmares is an independently produced podcast made possible by the support of listeners like you. If you enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate if you left a rating and a review for us. Gig Nightmares.